You came to America as an immigrant refugee after your family lost its home in Kosovo. Today, how do you prepare as an entrepreneur so that at some point your effort can look like luck?
Everything in life has some luck.
What's the best decision you've ever made?
Personally, I think one of the most important decisions you make in life is
What were some of the things you learned from your parents?
My parents are the foundation that we have built everything of who we are.
What were some of the challenges you derived from your relationship with Dan that sparked the light to want to venture out and get into entrepreneurship?
We were always doing side stuff, with my brother, different companies, etc. And, seeing, again, the amount of impact that Dan was having in the city. When you think of, the city of Detroit, like at one point we were the engine of United States of America and the world, quite literally. We had, some decades of decay, of issues and problems and economical and otherwise, right? But then there comes a person, and this is like the power of a human, right? It's crazy. There comes a person by the name of Dan Gilbert who decides that he was going to take all of the success he's ever had in life and was going to bet it all on the city of Detroit by moving his companies here, by buying, investing, flipping things, really like helping the city get back on its feet. And then a lot of people, of course, joined in on this mission that he led and continues to lead.
And welcome to the Immigrant Nation podcast. My name is Martin. I am the host. Eddie, you came to America as an immigrant refugee after your family lost its home in Kosovo. Today, you build companies, invest in real estate, and help shape Detroit's technological future. What have you not done? What do you want to continue doing?
What have I not done? There's a lot I haven't done, but I've been fortunate enough where over the last, call it 10, 15 years of my life, I have just been super lucky and been able to do really what I love doing, particularly over the last decade, a little over a decade, right? Meaning I'm been working with the people I really want to work, and I'm super, close to and passionate about their well-being beyond just business. These are, my co-founders along the way and partners. Mentioned my younger brother. We've been doing all this stuff together with. Just everything I've ever been involved in from an entrepreneurial perspective has been with people I love and care deeply about. And that's, again, not just my immediate family, my brother, but it's the extended family that we've built along the way on these different companies that I've been involved with. But now with KoDe Labs, this is, since late 2017, this has been something that we've been working on intensely, and it's been a super fun ride. And the core team that kind of all started together, we're still here and together. And those relationships and those things you go a long way. So what have I not done? I there's a lot more I'd like to do. But so far I've been fortunate to be able to do what I love to do for quite a bit now, and still doing it. So,
it's very interesting. You used two words that I find very constant with a lot of entrepreneurs and immigrant entrepreneurs, to be specific. And that is super lucky. We all understand to start a business, to run a business, or any other endeavor in life. It requires a lot of discipline, hard work, persistence, on and on and on. But I fundamentally also believe luck is really, really important. And it's a part of how we get that word we call success. How do you prepare as an entrepreneur or individual so that at some point your effort can look like luck?
It's a good way to put it. How do you prepare and do things so that, on the other side, you hear that saying all the time, right? Like, people see the end result, they don't know what it took to get there, and the cliches that we hear, all the time. We all, anybody that's been in this world long enough and worked and done things knows that you can get, everything in life has some luck. And as I get older, I also have started to believe a lot in the positive energy that comes with humanity as well as the negative energy. And the negative really pulls down. And to me, that's like almost like you're kind of like calling your own luck by surrounding yourself with negativity, if that's what you do, or positivity, on the other side. And as I've gotten older, I've tried and continued to try to just be the positive energy in anything that I'm involved with to the best of my abilities, right? And I am fully aware and working on improving that constantly, right? Because there are times and situations and places where just the instinct is to just get down and be down and or negative, right? But generally speaking, I think if you're surrounded by people that you're the saying, if you're the average of the 5-10 people you surround yourself with, I think that's the foundation to you building that luck, right, to use your words. And then from there on, what you do is dependent on you. I'd say 80% and 20% you do need a bit of luck and surroundings and right time and right place. But I wholeheartedly agree that humans also do make their own luck by going at it, not giving up. I mean, there's so many stories that are where people go through the hardest things that they could possibly go through, and they don't give up and they stay at it. And sometimes you get a bit of a branch from somebody that you met or has already been in your life, and it changes that moment in time, and that moment in time changes your entire life. So but overall, I agree with you. It's you have to do all the basics, all the fundamentals, right? Have the discipline, work hard, do the right thing. Do the right thing is not always the easiest, but it for sure is the best end result. And if you kind of believe in these core fundamentals, these are fundamentals that I try and teach my kids today, right? There's some basics in life that if you just do right and you do them all the time and they become a part of your being, I genuinely believe that allows you to build everything on top of that. That's discipline, that's doing the right thing, that's taking care of your people and your own, and that goes again, immediate family to immediate people in your workplace or whatever else, your friends, etc. So you do make your own luck, but the universe has a funny way of taking care of you if you just end up doing the right thing. Like if you're really doing the right thing for the right reasons. Like I genuinely believe that.
Absolutely. So talking about luck and family and business, what's the best decision you've ever made?
Best decision I ever made? There are a lot of things, and again, I've been fortunate enough where I've made decisions with people I love and people that are smarter than myself. So I've just kind of followed that. But personally, I think one of the most important decisions you make in life is the partner that you choose in life, and that could be your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever the case may be. I think that is like one of those like pivotal points in life that where you're kind of reborn for the good, or you could create a whole disaster on the other side if it doesn't work out. So from my standpoint, if I had to pick one decision, I think my life partner, she's been incredible. She's been my rock through all the ups, the downs, etc. And somebody that has just come into my life, or we came into each other's life when I didn't have a whole lot going for myself when we first met, and kind of everything we've built side by side, and and she's that's a decision that I guess I'd pick if I had to pick one, from a life-changing, life support, somebody to grow with and build a family and a future with. I think that was probably the best decision I made in life. One that isn't tied to me biologically. It didn't come from some whatever. Like it's a decision you make, right? Who your life partner, who you want to be your life partner, and of course it's mutual, but it is a decision you have to make. And if I had to pick one, that'd probably be it.
Very interesting. Very interesting. You talk about your life partner. So, as an immigrant from Kosovo, you obviously have a different perspective in life. You have this beginning of your life that was in a foreign country that was interrupted by a violent war, and then you find yourself having migrated as a refugee in a foreign land in America. For me, the possibility of that happening when you look at the globe from a global perspective is a very small occurrence, but it allows you the opportunity to see things differently, to experience life differently. What was very different in the very beginning for you, especially in your teen years when you had just migrated to the US? What were some of the struggles you and your brother were able to overcome without much difficulty?
Like, so we were blessed, right? So, you talk about life decisions, right? Like, the other amazing decision that my parents made for us, and it was due to family being in this area, right? Like, we had an uncle that lived in this Metro Detroit area, my dad's brother, and my dad, of course, wanted to be close to his brother, and then some other, family we have here close by. So, the decision to move to Detroit was, I think one of the best decisions that my parents could have made. Now, I don't know what other decisions, would have been like, because we didn't make those, but I know this one was amazing. And it was amazing for a lot of reasons, right? Not just where we're at today, but along the way, the people, the community that we landed in, both the Albanian community that we belong to, Albanians that moved here, as well as the American and other nationalities that lived around us when we moved to, a city called Rochester. Man, it was amazing. It's never easy to adapt to a new place, but if there's anything that made it a lot easier, it was the people that we were surrounded by and the way that they accepted us and the way that they supported us, and whether it was in school or whether it was at soccer practice or it was at work. That made all the difference in our lives, and it is something that we're forever grateful for, and something that my brother and I talk about all the time. That's why we're super passionate about the communities we belong to. That's why the name of our company today, KoDe Labs, right? KO is for Kosovo, DE is for Detroit, because these are the two places that, mean everything to us. These are the two places that we're super passionate about having an impact in, and places we've tried to frankly impact in every decision we've made in our entrepreneurial journey so far. And there's a lot more we want to do, and there's a lot more that we will do. But that's probably it. It's the people, the community, and the way that they accepted us and supported us when we landed here probably made a lot of things a lot easier than I think you would probably normally have if you move to a place where maybe the people aren't as warm and aren't as welcoming, etc. But look, we're in America for a reason, right? It is the land of opportunity. It is where we all come and are still super proud of our heritage and where we come from, and want to support where we come from, and again have an impact in the communities we were born in and raised. But we're also just as proud of just being Americans now, naturalized Americans, and living in what, in my opinion, is by far the greatest country in the world, bar none. And that is that's coming from somebody that when I got my U.S. passport, I literally slept with it for weeks. Like, it sat under my pillow because it was amazing, man. It was amazing. And again, these are things, conversations we have with my family all the time. It's incredible. Like, that U.S. passport, like the value of a U.S. passport is not talked about, a lot, at least not that I've heard of, but it's incredible.
I always tell people these three moments in my life as an immigrant that I hold near and dear into my life. One was the day I got married. Two is the day I received my American passport, and three was the day I raised my hand and said, yes, I will serve. Like, those moments have forever continued to influence who I am and what I want to give back to these people out there, Eddie, that feel that the American dream is at a distance, And I am amazed by the amount of immigrants we get to talk to here that have done fantastic work to change their lives, their families' tree, but above everything, the communities they live in. You're a perfect example of somebody who comes to a community that is a dying community and plants himself there, and you and your brother decide, although we're planted here, there's more for us to do. From an immigrant's perspective, from your perspective, what does Detroit understand that other cities do not?
Look, Detroit is a city that's known for its grit. So when you think of the city of Detroit, like at one point we were the engine of United States of America and the world, quite literally. And yes, we had some decades of decay, of issues and problems, and economical and otherwise, right? But then there comes a person, and this is like the power of a human, right? It's crazy. There comes a person by the name of Dan Gilbert who decides that he was going to take all of the success he's ever had in life and was going to bet it all on the city of Detroit by moving his companies here, by buying, investing, flipping things, really like helping the city get back on its feet. And then a lot of people, of course, joined in on this mission that he led and continues to lead. So what does Detroit understand that others don't? I think Detroit understands that if you are a person that is going to work hard, that's going to pour your heart and soul into this thing you believe in, the people here will support it. They welcome that. They join in on this like mission. There aren't as many egos here as there are in some other big cities, well, be New York or San Francisco or whatever other city there may be, right? So and it may be because of the issues that we've gone through, right? Like I come from Kosovo. We went through a war. We had the entire country torn up. Then post-war, we all came together and everybody did their bits and pieces. And you go to Kosovo today and there's literally no sign of war except for like museums and the things that we've left there because just as reminders, right? Because you can't forget where you came from. The city of Detroit is kind of similar in that sense that we've been at the rock bottom. We've seen what it's like. And coming together to build a future that we all want for ourselves and then the generations that come after us in this city. I don't know. There's something interesting about the city of Detroit that it makes you feel at home. It makes you love it passionately and care for it passionately. And I think it's again, it goes back to the community and the people and for me myself, like incredibly, again, lucky to have had an opportunity to work for a guy like Dan Gilbert back when I was, first starting in real estate, and see what, somebody that wants to do the right thing, is super passionate about doing the right thing and helping, the place that he loves kind of come back. Seeing the power of that has been life-changing for me. And from a perspective of like, if you believe it, and you pour everything you got into achieving it, there's a high likelihood that you'll get at minimum close to achieving it, which will still be a good place, and very likely actually achieve and maybe even go beyond what your wildest dreams ever were. And this is literally the story of myself and my brother right now, and then my entire family.
Very interesting. You've talked about Dan Gilbert in the past quite a bit. The idea of having worked for somebody and then you turn around, they become an investor in your company is truly very inspiring. What were some of the challenges you derived from your relationship with Dan that sparked the light to want to venture out and get into entrepreneurship?
Honestly, it wasn't the I guess maybe so the way that things worked out and the way that I think about it now retrospectively when I think back, right, it's I was working for him in his real estate arm, and we were always doing side stuff with my brother, different companies, etc. And seeing again the amount of impact that Dan was having in the city was like super super inspirational. Meaning, we knew that it's to have the type of impact Dan is having is going to take a bunch of time. But we wanted to add to that, kind of like add gas on that fire that he had started, and it was all about just looking, talking to people, seeing what's happening, with kind of the rest of the world and other places, and then finally landing on, hey, there's this idea of, if we're investing all this money in Detroit, what if it also had the best possible tech infrastructure that any city on planet Earth ever had? What would that look like? And then knowing that a guy like Dan, if you have a big enough idea, and a good plan, of course, he's likely to back it. And at the time, it was a crazy idea. Like, look, our idea, initially, prior to KoDe Labs with Rocket Fiber, and my two co-founders there, Mark and Randy, like we were mid-20s, hadn't even really raised any sort of like meaningful dollars in any big venture prior to that, to go and say, hey, we want to, we need initially to start, over $30 million to start this infrastructure tech venture that was going to put the city on a map, etc., was insane. And you talk about the challenges to getting there. Man, there was a lot, and there were enough challenges to make you quit, almost weekly, because and challenges are usually human related, meaning it's humans that get in the way of progress, sometimes with good intent and sometimes with not too good of an intent, and sometimes because they don't understand. But it's back to what I said beginning of this, right? It's the people you surround yourself with, it's the people that believe in you, it's everybody from your immediate family to your co-founders to your business people, etc. And again, I've been fortunate my entire life to have an incredible family. I have parents that have always supported all the craziness that I or my brother have ever come up with, and then meeting and having a partner that had my back no matter what, and looked out after the home when I was at work 24/7, and having a brother that is like all in, and on every way possible on anything that we decide to go after. And then it's again all of our partners and friends that we're surrounded with. So lots of challenges, but man, that ride, you look back, that's what builds you. It's not supposed to be easy. Like, it's not like, it is true when people say if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's not supposed to be easy, and it's okay. But at that time, you're young, inexperienced, and you think that these challenges are like life ending. And with time, you learn that what, the challenge today, opportunity tomorrow. It's gonna be okay. Oh, just not gonna stop. I won't stop no matter what. And things have a funny way of working out when you do that.
Mr. Demaj, speak to immigrants who think that opportunities in North America are hard to come by, or they're not available anymore. I mean, look at you. You come to the US, you end up in Detroit at a really rough time for Detroit. But here you are, part of the celebration of what Detroit has become. Opportunities are not just in Detroit, but they're also in great cities like Miami or New York, LA, on and on and on. When we immigrants sometimes hold ourselves back by saying, this is not possible, walk us through the mentality you need to be in to be able to overcome that dark light, to see the possibility of what America can be.
Look, so my life story is such that to say that there is no opportunity in America, or that there's something that holds you back in America, would be completely lunatic. And I say all that, and I think I have the bit of credibility to say that, one, because I came from a country that I came from, and here I am, but two, I have a ton of friends and family and, now business partners and whatnot that live in other countries around the world. And there's like not even, and I'm talking about some of the, you know, top Western countries and, Middle East, etc., countries that are really like doing super well and so on. It is still not America from an opportunity perspective. Meaning, like if you live in America, again, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy, but it is a lot easier than any other place on planet Earth for you, the immigrant, for you, the person that, has a completely different background, color, nationality, whatever the case may be, to be able to succeed at the same level as the person that was born here, maybe 4 generations and in their family, 5 generations and in their family. It is a country that is, I think, built on the foundation of we are all equal. And you'll always have somebody that'll tell you, yeah, but I had this other place and this thing happened to me and that thing happened to me. That is life. But you're talking about, and these are also choices you make. You can pick on the one thing and get stuck on it your whole life, using it as an excuse, or you can move on and go to the next thing. And if we know anything about America, is that if you stay at it, you'll get there. And I tell all, particularly immigrants, that say things like, oh, maybe there's not as much opportunity, etc. My response to that is super simple. Airports are still working, airplanes are still flying. You can buy a ticket, go back to where you came from, and it's completely okay. But somehow we don't do that. So what does that tell you? Like, even with all of our challenges, and it's not perfect, no place on planet Earth is. It is still the closest. It is still the closest thing to perfect. That's why we all stick around, and that's why we continue to, work hard and try and contribute, to what is now our home. This isn't, a new country anymore. This is our home. It's our country, and it's on us to make sure that the challenges that we're facing, we're also doing something to, make it easier for the ones that come after us now.
Earlier, you talked about certain core values and lessons that you're working on impacting in your children. That way they can carry those values into business and in life. But without telling you and your brother, what were some of the things you learned from your parents, and especially from their initial, very first business?
Yeah, look, man, my parents are the foundation that we have built everything of who we are on. They are literally the biggest inspiration on planet Earth in our lives. And they're an inspiration, not because they went and built some multi-billion-dollar business, but is because they did things that were actually harder than just building some tech business or whatever the case may be. The things they went through, the way they grew up, the work they had to do to raise a family, build a family, live through war, get out of the war, move to a new country, raise kids, do all the odd jobs that are possible, still have a tremendous amount of impact in the community that you lived in, worked in, grew up in, and raise a family that is sound by all the metrics or values that I think a family is measured on. There's no bigger inspiration to my life and to our life than our parents. And this goes for myself, my brother. It goes for all, I think, others in our community that we grew up with and their parents. Because if you're a born Albanian of my generation and the generation of our parents, you went through some stuff, right? So it's also the thing that kind of keeps us close as a community now amongst Albanians, is that we have super similar backgrounds. The way I was raised and the things my parents went through and what my parents did for me are similar things that, in ways that like my wife and, her family grew up and the things they went through, and, our other friends and 200 other people that are part of KoDe Labs today as an example, and extended family and friends. So, I say all that to say that there's, the most important lessons in life we learn from our parents, and the and the foundation of it all is be a good human, do the right thing, even when it's the hardest thing to do in the world. And everything else takes care of itself. So long as, of course, you have discipline and you work hard and you do all these things, but it is all built on this foundation of do the right thing always and forever, work hard, push the limits possible. And literally the only thing that is impossible, if you have this foundation in place, are things that are just physically, like physics don't allow them to be possible. Absent that, I think just about anything you put your head into, you can find a way through, and particularly if you're in America, in my opinion.
I find this very interesting, Eddie. Detroit is a comeback city. Kosovo has come back. You and your brother have come back by finding your path. From the three comeback stories, who benefits from that effort?
I think all three, and everybody that is in and or around the three you just mentioned, right? It's all three of them, and in our case, right, they're all tied together. Our personal lives are tied to both countries. The well-being of U.S. Kosovo, Detroit Kosovo, Detroit Pristina, like these are all like intertwined with our lives every single day. We have, we're in Detroit every single day of our lives, and if we're not in Detroit, we're likely in Pristina or traveling somewhere else. But these two cities, like, have this is everything to us. So I think the comeback and the resilience of these two places are a reason why we have also been able to do what we do. And I think the better we all do, the three you just mentioned, I think the more everybody and everything that is in and or around us benefits. I don't think there's anything bad that comes from it.
Immigrants that are listening to you speaking and they're inspired to move to Detroit, is there still opportunity or it's too late?
Oh, there's a ton of opportunity. I mean, if there's a place in America to move to and still have an opportunity to be a, call it an impactful part of a place, Detroit is it. Like bar none. And it is because of the way that people treat you. It is because of the opportunity that sits here. It is because of the ability to get the support that you need to build whatever it is that you may be trying to build and or become a part of. It could be something that somebody else is building that you also could be a super big impactful piece of. So no, it's absolutely not too late. It's actually as good as it's ever been from a timing perspective.
Very interesting, very interesting. Thank you for that insight. So in this show we always talk about wins and we talk about lessons. I think those two things always rock together. Tell us about a loss that you and your brother took that took a toll on you as brothers, emotionally, physically, mentally, and how did you overcome the loss to keep going?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a ton of along the way, right? You have wins, you have losses, and that's that's how you build and learn. And I really genuinely believe that. A big one that happened in our lives early on when we first moved to U.S. was we had decided as a family that we would get in the restaurant business. We had all worked, we had saved some money, and we thought it was an opportunity to get kind of like a small family business. The parents could work there, we could help a bit, and it would provide a bit of the stability that we want. And our parents wouldn't have to necessarily work 7 days a week, multiple jobs, odd jobs, etc. So we went in and we basically poured in all all of our family savings into this business that we all believed in, and we worked super hard, but along the way things didn't go as we expected, and the impact that that business was having on the family, and particularly on my brother and I, from an education perspective and all the other things and dreams that we had. My parents and our father specifically decided that, look, like, this isn't worth it. Could we build a restaurant business that could the family could live on? Sure, but the impact that it was having on us and our ability to go see the world and try other things and do other things, because we always had to come back to this place, was too big. So getting out of that business and um, um, realizing that it wasn't it. That took a big toll on my brother and myself, our whole family. And how you overcome that, again, you go right back to the foundation, which is we are all we have, and that is your immediate circle. And we're fortunate that no matter the challenge, we had each other, and we were fortunate that we were in America. It's like, okay, great, you have a big challenge and you have some losses, but you have an opportunity to get right back to work and work just as hard, and kind of build back up, right? And that is the beauty of this place, is that if you have a challenge or a loss, so long as you can pull together and you have a good support system around you, you can build back up. And that's what we did. But that was probably one of the biggest ones we faced, along our journey, is this restaurant business we got into, and having to get into it and then get out of it and build back up.
Very interesting. So, Rocket Fiber, all the way to KoDe Labs. When you guys started Rocket Fiber, you at some point had to get heavy investment into your company to be able to exit the way you did. When you sit back and remember those days, what did the pitching of that business idea look like to investors and also to your team?
Look, so we worked on Rocket Fiber specifically, right? Like, we worked our day jobs, and then we worked on Rocket Fiber, myself and two others. We worked on Rocket Fiber literally every single night and every single weekend, for like a year and a half, nonstop, before we got to a place where we could, we had raised the money and could officially start the company, right? And as I stated earlier, we were fortunate enough to, like, we had to go through a bunch of people, and this was where, to the earlier point, like, this was where, like, you go through a lot of challenges, for a variety of different reasons, when you have to go through a lot of people to get to Dan Gilbert, knowing that if we get to Dan Gilbert, and when we get to Dan Gilbert and have an opportunity to pitch the idea and have a meaningful conversation with him, we believed, like, in our souls, that Dan would understand it and he'd be all in on it, because we felt we had a connection with him that others didn't understand. But some tried to keep from getting to him because they, whether it was their jobs or they had different opinions and thoughts, and that was a super big challenge, and we just stayed at it. And yes, we had some support from some super good people that later were a part of our, became a part of our company and our team, as well, which was super helpful, and as well as our families. Again, back to the families, it all comes to the home. When it's all said and done, if your home isn't supporting you, then it becomes super hard. Eventually we made it in front of Dan. We shared the idea. We shared, why we thought it could be so big in Detroit and beyond, and why we felt super strongly that he had to be the partner and the investor in this endeavor with us, because only he really truly understood kind of like the vision of what we thought Detroit could become. And that was our alignment. Like, we all saw Detroit and what Detroit could become, similarly. and we were all equally as passionate about taking risks to really, push this Detroit comeback, and that's clearly what happened, right? And I remember we're in this room, and there's like 30 people in the room, and we're like 2.5 hours in, and Dan goes, "Okay, great, like I get it, like we should probably take a vote on do we want to back this business or not," and I vote yes. Well, when Dan says he votes yes, then you can imagine what the rest of humanity does. So, from that point on, it was never look back. Get to building a business and doing all the things we needed to do, because now we had the backing of Dan Gilbert, and once that was the biggest box we needed to check for us to really hit the ground running. And from there forward, it was it was a hell of a ride for 6+ years. After that, officially, and like I said, a year and a half, so you're like whatever, 7.5, 8 years in. It was fun. It was a super, super fun ride. I think we've had still walk through streets of Detroit and see rocket fiber signs and manholes and whatnot around here. So it's one of those things that sits with you, I think, for the rest of your life. And now I walk with my kids, and I show it to them. It's kind of fun.
That's very interesting. So I have had the pleasure of being in the same vehicle with somebody who turned around and said, "Martin, that building that's 24 stories, I was part of the people who built that building. Oh, and by the way, I was the guy who did that." So I can see the pride that you derive from that, and for that, on behalf of the city of Detroit, I must say thank you. I mean, this is why we're here, right? It's, as immigrants, we get the opportunity to come to America and then create value. Yesterday I had a post on X on Elon Musk, because a lot of people are giving him a hard time for becoming a trillionaire. And as far as I'm concerned, value is what we bring to the marketplace, and people pay us for that value, and it means we're changing lives moving forward. I mean, the guy just made 4,000 employees millionaires, and hundreds of others made a ton of money through him, besides the influence he's having in life. And so when you look at life from that perspective, the opportunity America allows you to have, walk us through how you have an idea and you bring the idea to the marketplace.
Yeah, so I share similar views to the whole trillionaire and somebody becoming super rich, etc. I think to what you share, from what I can sense, if you bring value and the world brings returns the favor, amazing. That's like the best. Like that is the ultimate living, in my opinion, is you bring value to the world and the world returns the favor and brings value to you and your loved ones. So it's amazing. But look, idea to market. I mean, it's a big topic. But what I'll try and be succinct in. But it has to be, from my perspective, what has worked for me is to look at something that bothers me and or I am super passionate about, and or both, and to go and do the work and the research and talk to people. No matter how much research you do, talk to people. There's nothing that replaces talking to people excuse me, that are in that industry or know about the space or whatnot. If you do that, you get enough data points to validate whether pursuing something like that is worth it or not. 10 years ago, when we started Rocket Fiber, it was a lot harder. When we started KoDe Labs, it was a lot harder than it is today, particularly in tech. But really, I'd say in most ideas, except for if you have some big like infrastructure idea, right? And the reason why is because the tools that are now available to us, because of the advancements that we've seen in tech with AI and so on, I think make it a lot easier for you to be self-taught in trying to bring at least some version of whatever your idea is to life. And then once you have something that you can touch, feel, visualize, see, then you'll be amazed at what happens if you just go and find the people that you think would want to hear this story and would want to hear about this idea, and just ask them for 30 minutes. You'll be shocked at how many positive responses you may get. And then again, back to talking to people. And then when you get those opportunities, it is about executing on them. It is about going well prepared and with a clear agenda and questions and things you want to show, and outcomes that you want, and following through. And if you check these boxes, again, everything else will start to fall in place. It may be that you need clients, it may be that you need partners, it may be that you need people to raise money from, but that is the foundation, is putting in the work and pushing everything to the absolute maximum on your own to bring whatever this thing you are passionate about, as far into life as humanly possible, and then approaching others that are in that space that you're trying to push this idea in, and asking for their time and following through. Follow through is like 75% of success, in my opinion. You get the opportunity to speak. 25% is you go and you do all the right things that you're supposed to do, and it is the crucial 25%. But then 75% is literally what do you do after that, based on wherever this conversation landed. And I think things, and if you do these basics and fundamentals, I think you have an opportunity to build something on top of it. But if you miss one of these steps that are foundational, I think it's super, the likelihood of succeeding becomes much less, in my opinion.
KoDe Labs is your passion project at the moment. But before we talk about KoDe Labs, can you please tell our listeners where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn, Edi Demaj LinkedIn. That's a place that, I log in at least, once a week. I'm also, same name. I'm on all the other socials, and X and Instagram and Facebook, etc. Although I don't check those as often as as I used to back in the day. Just don't have as much time.
Excellent. And what's the mission for KoDe Labs?
KoDe Labs. So KoDe Labs' mission is to make all of the built world autonomous in a way that builds better experiences, more efficient buildings, from both energy and sustainability perspective, while maintaining and improving on the experiences that the people that live, work, play in the built environment have, because we think that it is possible to have the perfectly operated building that is 100% efficient from the way that it's using energy, while also creating the perfect experience for the people that live, work, play in these buildings, and that is everything to us. That is our mission. That is what we set out to do day zero. We're still on the same mission, and we think that the only way to be able to do that is to be able to integrate and see the entire data stack that is involved in operating a building. That's all the systems, that's all the software is coming into one centralized place, and then through that centralized place, which is our platform, KodeOS, is how everything then operates. But if you're trying to do or optimize or provide some sort of an experience in a silo without having an account of the entire data stack in the built environment, you will likely cause problems, in other areas. This is what we've set out to do. And another way to kind of look at it is basically, now with, again, what's happening, with AI, etc., is we want to be to the buildings what Cursor was to the software developers. That's really what it comes down to.
Very interesting. So you've had your hands in real estate in all aspects. What does the real estate market in Detroit look like from where you stand?
Real estate is my baby. This is all I've done my entire career is things in and around real estate. Real estate market is in Detroit is super interesting, and it's continued to go up and go. We were just having this conversation actually the other day. We said, man, 10 years ago, if you invested $500,000 in real estate in Detroit, you could be doing quite well today. And some people did. They had the money, they had the foresight, etc. So it's a super interesting market. I think there's still a ton of opportunity to invest and grow. It's a lot safer than it was 10 years ago from an investment standpoint. It's a place where the people that are invested here, they're continuing to invest more. So it's not a place that somebody came, invested, they left. I think the city government is super welcoming and willing to work with investors both inside and outside Detroit. And I think the private investors in Detroit are also super welcoming of others that come in the city and invest. I think it all comes down to the shared mission of we want to see the city get back on its feet, and it's also the idea of like doing well by doing good. If you invest and you make a place better, you're doing some good, and through that good you also do well for yourself. So that's the city of Detroit, and that's the real estate market in Detroit.
For immigrant entrepreneurs that have great ideas and want to bring them to the marketplace, part of one of the largest struggle they have is capital. And a lot of immigrants are struggling with the idea of taking business debt. How is it possible to leverage your idea? Actually, let me rephrase this question. How is it that we struggle with the idea of capital or business debt, yet we know that OPM is necessary to be successful?
It's a super big topic, but if we're talking about, if I'm understanding it, if we're talking about, if you're saying, how is it possible that we struggle with getting debt, but yet without debt we can't grow the idea? If I'm understanding the question correctly here, if you have to build something that allows you to be able to leverage it for debt to grow. But if you don't want to do that, look, again, this is all my experiences. If you have a great idea and you're working it and you're starting to show some signs of success, my recommendation is not debt. My recommendation is that you find the right partners or partner that is willing to invest, right? To become a partner, a shareholder in your idea, in your business, that believes in you so much so that they want to put their own capital behind it, and then use that to grow, because now you have another partner. I fundamentally don't think that it's easy, maybe even possible, to build things alone. Everybody, including an Elon Musk, has a support system around them that helps them get there. And if you've worked something far enough and now you're at a place where, hey, I need some help, I need some support, capital or otherwise, or if you think all you need is capital, I promise you that if you find the right partner that can give you capital also, that's like, killing two birds with one stone.
Very interesting. So you have been involved in Detroit's internet infrastructure, real estate, software, restaurants. Be honest, dude. Is it you're so driven to be everywhere, or you're very good at and efficient at your systems that you're able to be everywhere?
I don't know. It's been one of those things where, like, look, we've gotten opportunities. We're passionate about a lot of things. KoDe Labs being the top one from a business perspective, but we're passionate about other things, and we have ideas and thoughts and etc. And over time, as we've built some capital, we have decided to bet it on some other ideas and things that we've had and we wanted to be involved in. Some are fun projects, and some are super passionate, always some fun. of projects that we get involved in. I don't believe in multitasking. I genuinely don't think you do super well when you're just like trying to do 7 things at once. But I do believe in being efficient and being able to like chop your tasks up in bits and pieces where I laser focus on something and I knock that out and I go to the next thing and I knock it out. This is a process that I've found works for me and something I've worked on training myself to do. And I think I am decent. I'm not great, but I'm decent enough at it to be able to handle more than one involvement or be involved in more than one thing, if that makes sense. It's also what like keeps my like creative juices going. Like and this goes for my brother as well. Like if we're not involved in multiple things, it's almost like our creativity dies, and we need that. That's fuel.
Across the globe, immigrants, documented and undocumented immigrants, are experiencing persecution. As an American who's naturalized and become an American citizen, do you feel pressure to represent Kosovo, Detroit, other immigrants and entrepreneurs at all at once?
Yeah, I mean, look, we know America is built on immigrants, and there's no denying that. I don't think anybody denies that. We also know that we have an immigration process in America that needs improving. I'll just say that. And the ideas on how we go about improving it are a super big discussion, and I certainly have a lot of thoughts on that. But my views on the whole immigrant world in America are that if you are here and you are providing value to this place, the people on the place, here in America, I think that having some mechanism that gives you the opportunity to live the American dream and be a productive part of this society here is the right thing to do. The alternative to that, though, is that if you are here, legally or otherwise, and you are not a productive part of society, and or worse, you are creating issues of any sort, criminal or otherwise, then I think that some rules need to be in place that ask you to go back to where you came from. That's just fundamentally what I believe in. We don't have the perfect system. I think it needs a lot of improvement. I also think that thinking that you come to America and you can do whatever you want is also not the way to do things, because it is a place that has rules and laws and so on. But I also think that it is absolutely unfair to take somebody that has been in America for years and only knows America, meaning like I have personal friends that came here when they were 1-2 years old. Their parents brought them here, right? Who dealt with being trying to get them out of the country, etc. They don't know anything. They are more American than me. They've been here since they were 1 or 2. So I think that there's just some human test that needs to be put in place and to make sure that as a country we're still standing for what we've always stood for, which is you do right by humanity, and the way you do right by humanity is by putting the rules and the regulations in place that allow you to also be human. You have to be human, right? There has to be some human element to these things. And that's for the good and the bad. Like I said, if you're a criminal, then you came here illegally, then you should not have a shot at being here. Super simple. We don't need that. But absent that, and if you're on this other side of what I talked about, then I think there needs to be an element that allows you to prove your case and have an opportunity to stay and continue building on what you've already what you've been building for years. In the case of, like I said, some of my friends.
Edi Demaj, you're part of a truly inspiring growth story out of Detroit. You have built companies, invested in real estate, benefited from the city's rise. But growth always creates winners and losers. Do you make sure you are not just extracting value from the city, but actually building value for the people who are already in the city and those who continue to migrate to your beautiful city?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a life mission. Everything that we've done and continue to do is rooted on, you know, always bringing value back to the city in whatever way, shape, or form that we possibly can. So, absolutely, it's everything. It has to be about more than just this idea, this business you have. And what I learned, from life, and we believe, at KoDe Labs, as founders of KoDe Labs, my brother, our other co-founder, and really the team, is that if you do well by the cities and the communities that we work and live and play in, it's again that value comes back tenfold in just via just the energy that the team has, right? Because we as humans, we have a need to do good. Like we that motivates us, that fuels us, and that's what we do. That's literally how that's everything. So yeah, 100%.
Very interesting. So, what do immigrants misunderstand from your perspective about America until they start building something here?
What they misunderstand? Honestly, I feel like some, not all. Um, sometimes, um, sometimes, again, this is just hearsay. Again, I'm super fortunate. The people I'm around me, they just crank. But I think, sometimes we, as humans, forget how amazing this place is because of some daily challenges that we may face on and off over time. And I think that is something that we need to just remind ourselves that, hey, like, sure, it may be hard in some instances, but it was a lot harder where we came from. And we're here for a reason. Just have to persevere.
Eddie, you're speaking in a room full of immigrants. What is the one thing you want them to take home today?
Immigrants, by definition, right? By definition, we left a place that, our parents or grandparents, us, love or passionate about, but for one reason or another, we had to leave that place to go to this new place, America or somewhere else. But in particular, America. Let's not forget where we came from. Let's take the lessons that we are learning and will learn through time in the greatest country in the world, United States of America, and do our part in bringing some of those back to where we came from, so those places we come from also have an opportunity to learn, grow, and hopefully get on this, similar path to America. Again, America is ahead, but if we get on that path and we continue to build generation after generation, then I think we'll leave the world a better place.
Fantastic. Eddie, we appreciate you. I appreciate your time today. Listen, if you were starting all over again today, where would you start?
I was starting all over again today. I would be learning how to use all of the crazy vibe coding applications and the AI tools that exist today, and I'd be literally spending my entire time. I already do this at night and randomly on stuff, building whatever crazy idea, challenge, fix to a problem that I thought I could bring to the world, and I would just drive that 16 hours a day, and I would spend the other 2 hours, 3 hours in reaching out to everybody on planet Earth that is willing to talk to me, and sleep very, very little. That would be my start until until I get to where I wanted to get.
Absolutely, absolutely adore that. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for making the time to come to the Immigrant podcast. We hope this episode inspires immigrants to think more about your own story, your own impact, and the possibilities that can come from believing in ideas others may not yet understand and execute on. Edi is a great example of one who believes in their own ideas and executes relentlessly. Remember the mission he just called you to. Take advantage of AI and work 16 hours nonstop until you can get your idea to the marketplace and start solving problems. Thank you for listening to the Immigrant Nation podcast. Make sure to follow and share our episodes. Edi, tell our listeners one more time where they can find you.
Edi Demaj, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter. Appreciate you having me, Martin. Appreciate the conversation.
Edi Demaj, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so very much. Thank you. We appreciate you. Hopefully we get to see you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later. Thank you.